So we are here, or I am here, with Cheryl Hunter, who is a dear friend of ours, who we've known for, I think, a couple of years now. First met her in California, and actually Cheryl lives in California, in LA, and we're delighted to interview her today because she has just released a fantastic book called Use It, Turn Setbacks into Success. So Cheryl is a coach, a speaker, and now also an author. And I wanted to talk to her just about her book so that you could see what this book was all about so that you could order it for yourself. There's nothing quite like speaking to the author about their own book. So welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Tora. I'm so happy to be here.
Great. So just to start with, this book is really all about resilience. So how did you actually come to write a book about resilience?
Well, resilience is a topic that is quite close to my heart. and like many things that I think we become passionate about, it happened because of the things that have happened in my life. It's an interesting path that life leads us on, really. As a teenager, I'm from a little mountain town high in the Colorado Rockies, and I had this dream of getting out into the world and being in the city and meeting people. And I went to Europe with a friend as a teenager, and two men approached me and said that they could make me a model, which sounded like, well, that'll be a way I can stay here and not have to go back to the mountains of my small town where a couple hundred people spread out over a couple hundred miles, and several goats and cows. I thought I could stay, and I went with them, and they abducted me and drugged me and beat me and raped me, and as you can imagine, the road back was a tough one. I decided that the way to cope was to pretend it never happened and never tell a soul. But I was trying to deal with it, trying to find air, trying to find life again, trying to get my life back to normal. And I took every class or seminar that was recommended, every book that somebody mentioned I read. I went to therapy. I did just everything I could to figure out how to get my life back, because I saw that it could go at one of two trajectories. It was tending down for a time, and I thought, I can turn this around. I read Viktor Frankl and Man's Search for Meaning and how he turned his life around after the concentration camp, and I thought, if he could do it, I could do it. So, and in my studies, I eventually started, I was so empowered by these seminars and courses that I thought, well, I want to do that with my life. And I thought, that I knew that we could move past anything. And as I started studying and then later began teaching seminars and doing executive coaching, corporate coaching, and all that I was doing, I could see that there was a thread in the people that I found were the most successful. They were those who bounced back. There's a quote, I'm going to paraphrase horribly, but General George Patton, who was a very famous American war general, said that being successful is not, I'm going to paraphrase this horribly, it's not how well you do when things are going well, but rather how far you can bounce up when you hit the bottom. And that made me think, wow, resilience is such a broad thing. It's not only about how well one can do facing the everyday turbulences and challenges and changes of life, but rather it's also for the junk that we deal with. My own example of the abduction for an example, but we all deal with those things as human beings. Everybody has things happen we wish hadn't. So I thought, this is a niche I want to specialize in. I've got a little experience in it, and I think it makes such a difference for people so that we can be powerful in the face of anything that life deals us and know that we're bigger than all of it.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. I mean, what an amazing story. And as you say, to have had experience in something, I mean, so many people sort of claim that they teach without really having had experience. But I mean, what a profound experience that you've had to then bounce back in such a big way to help others with the same thing.
Well, Donna, Tora, it's like you and Donna. I combined your names into one word, Dora. Tora, it's like the two of you. I mean, what so excited me when I heard your story first is how you too have dealt with weight issues. And I mean, as a woman, I think, oh, oh gosh, they're just like me. They've dealt with their body and weight, but they've really dealt with it, from bulimia to being that much overweight to like, wow, that's what it's so endeared me to you initially, because you know what it's like to deal with that. I just,
yeah, and I think
Yay.
we all mutual love sharing. So you've developed some, I mean, as a result of what you went through and doing all these courses and everything, and then you're now a coach yourself and a speaker, and you've developed your own system to help people to overcome setbacks. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I realized that some of the things that made us the same are those things that we think are unique personal phenomena, like the fact that we all have our own trials and issues, and we try to hide them and pretend they don't exist, like that type of thing. But I started seeing real similarities in people. I've been leading seminars and coaching both in corporate and corporate sector and with individuals and in educational institutions and like that for almost 20 years. And over that time, I've worked with a lot of people, tens of thousands of people. I kept saying, there's so many similarities. We all deal with feeling like at certain times that we're smaller than everything that's outside of us, that it's so much bigger than us. And I thought if we could get a perspective shift and see that we are, in fact, like I said earlier, bigger than anything that comes our way, that would empower us. So at first I started working, as I was developing the system, with in universities and working with students who were about to get unleashed into the world, and they'd been trained as, say, teachers, for example, and, they're wide-eyed and thinking, oh, it's just going to be great. I'm going to have little fresh-faced 8-year-olds bringing me an apple every day. When in reality, it's like, some kid's going to come up and shout at them, and somebody else is going to throw up on them, and then parents are going to do what they do, and the, different Board of Education is going to put rulings here, and all, it's not at all what we expect. And so we get so disillusioned by the dream is one thing, and then the reality is another. And I thought, how do I make both us powerful in the face of everyday life, but transmute whatever was there in the past that held us back and that we think we need to hide, and those things that have stopped us before, and transmute those into the very thing that propels us forward. The title of my book is Use It. Like, literally use whatever's been holding you back to propel you forward. And use it, like, I really do believe that you can use whatever is there in your life, not the imaginary life that we wish we had someday when we're all taller, thinner, and younger. That's the real one.
Yeah, and I love the idea of using it rather than getting over it and moving on. Actually using whatever you've experienced and all the things that have happened to you in a different way, rather than just trying, well, obviously burying it's not a good way to do it, but actually using it. I think that's such a wonderful philosophy.
Thank you. I kept seeing people do something like that. And it was unidentified at first, like watching certain people really connect. Like there's a woman on TV that, I know there's a global audience here, but in the United States, and she's a real television personality. It seems very slick and all put together, but she'd had a few miscarriages, and she came on and spoke about it. And it was suddenly like, her ratings went through the roof, but I don't think it was because people thought she was trauma sharing, but rather she was being open about the things that we think, oh God, I don't want anyone to know that about me. It means that I'm less than. And suddenly everyone could relate. It's like earlier, like I said with you, when you shared about your own eating disorder, it's like, oh wow, she's somebody who gets it, It's like using the very thing. I'd always dreamed for myself as a kid and, in Colorado, like I wanted to get out there and speak to people in some way, but about what? Like roping goats or something? And suddenly having this horrible experience of being abducted gave me something to connect to people. about, because we all share having gone through junk, you know, and it gave you something to share by using it. So I want to, you know, if nothing else today, by speaking with you, I'd love to leave all of you with that you really can reframe that which you're dealing with, that you think is the bane of your existence, in such a way that it is the thing that can propel you into the life that you're committed to living.
That's great. And you, as a resilience expert now, you help people to make their lives better in all sorts of different ways. But specifically about weight and health, because that's what most people are here for. How can people use resilience to help them with their own weight and health?
Well, it's one of the things resilience is most about is bouncing back. And let's face it, we're human beings. We have frailties and conversations in our head, and we can't do anything about those. And I don't mean frailties as a bad thing. It's just like, you know, I love chocolate. And I'm not going to trade my head out of that. And I have a commitment to not eating any, you know, or to really eating in moderation or something. But then all of us fall off the wagon from time to time. I think one of the things resilience can be best for is to go, okay, got it. There's nothing wrong with me that I did that. I'm a human being. Now what? How do I get back on track without a loss of power, without disempowering myself, without hating myself, which then causes me to do more of the same? Just bounce back. Now what? Back on track.
Fantastic. And just
question. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just to finish off, if someone's listening today and they're struggling with a setback in their own life, either it could be that they've just eaten chocolate all over the weekend and they feel terrible about it, or they've had something, you know, even more traumatic, maybe even something as horrific as you experienced. What would be the one thing you would tell them to do to start making a change, to start bouncing back?
Well, I love to put, you know, I think perspective provides so much. And there's, you know, you can just for a moment turn on the news or look at people online and the plight that so many are dealing with in their lives, and put that into perspective. A week of a weekend of binge eating compared to, you know, the widespread genocide or the sea of plastic or the spotted owl, you know, plight of the spotted, whatever it is. There's so many things out there that, you know, a jolt of perspective can also help. But there's also something I've been entertaining lately. I started to, you know, as I'm looking at all of life and like the impact I want to make and the difference I want to, and worrying about this and feeling, you know, I just have been feeling like I believe this is a kind and loving universe. And I really believe that the universe has our back, each one of us. And whenever I start to look at the setbacks and the impediments or all of those things and focus on those, I just keep making a practice of consciously stopping the action, stopping myself and reminding myself, I really do, at my core of my being, believe that the universe has my back. Like I believe the universe has your back. And it's all going to work out. And I know that's not like the most like tangible like thing, but it just brings me an immense sense of peace. So ultimately, I'd say find what gives you peace. True or not, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. And choose that. And empower that. Empower that which gives you peace.
That's great. I love that. Empower what gives you peace. Lovely. Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you've got a very busy schedule. So just to finish, everyone should go and get your book at useitbook.com. And that's correct URL, isn't it? So useitbook.com. We'll also put it underneath the video. And if they sign up there, then they can get your training videos as well as an extra bonus from you. So actually hear even more inspiring stories from you. So really recommend
Yes.
everyone go and buy the book. I read it a few months ago. It's a fantastic book. It's got not only some strategies to help you, but also some wonderful other people's stories, so you can see it putting into practice as well. So thank you very much again, Cheryl, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you so much.